cuando la ciencia y la espiritualidad se cruzan en el mismo camino. Bienvenidos a este espacio donde la ciencia y la espiritualidad se encuentran. Aquí exploramos los misterios de la mente, el poder de la neurociencia y las profundas conexiones entre el ser y el universo. Hablaremos de sanación, traumas, conciencia y transformación, desafiando lo conocido y abriendo puertas a nuevas posibilidades. Prepárate para un viaje donde el conocimiento y la intuición se fusionan para despertar tu potencial más profundo. Esto es más que un podcast, es un despertar. Bienvenidos.
Se nos están muriendo los niños en Haití. Es muy triste el video que me mandó el hermano, el líder comunitario, hermano Pierre, en Haití. Los niños literalmente se mueren diariamente. Los adultos no tienen cómo pagar sus medicamentos y también se mueren. Hay mucha pobreza, uno de los países más pobres del mundo. ¿Cómo es posible que nosotros decimos que somos seres humanos y está sucediendo esta tragedia en Haití? Los gobiernos no les importa, a nadie les importa. La gente se está muriendo, los niños, los viejitos, y nadie está haciendo nada. Por eso decidí contribuir con hermano Pierre para mitigar el hambre, a ver si ustedes se tocan el corazón, y cualquier donación yo se la voy a hacer llegar directamente a él. Este muchacho de apenas 35 años está ayudando a su comunidad para mitigar el hambre en Haití de los niños y los adultos que se nos están muriendo. Por favor, colabore.
¿Y si sanar tus heridas también pudiera ser el camino para sanar a otros? No es solo una certificación, es una transformación. La neuroterapia con el método Lifecology no solo te da herramientas, te da propósito. Porque cuando entiendes tu mente, puedes liberar tu pasado, superar traumas, fobias, adicciones y crear una nueva historia emocional. Estudiar neurociencia con este método probado y humano te permite ayudar a otros a sanar desde la raíz. Incluye técnicas avanzadas como la regresión a vidas pasadas, para desbloquear lo que ni siquiera sabías que te limitaba. Te conviertes en un canal de transformación. No solo estudias, te sanas, tú puedes ser la guía que otros necesitan. Pero primero, empieza contigo. Esta certificación no solo cambia vidas, cambia la tuya.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to this program of the Soul Evolution. This is the first program that I'm going to do in English. It's a challenge for me, but I consider that we are all brothers and sisters. That's why I wanted to introduce some of my clients, some of the people that I work that don't speak Spanish, so that we can do that in English. And because to me, I mean, Americans are doing a great job. I see a lot of YouTubes about spirituality, about spiritual awakening, about consciousness. We have great teachers like Deepak Chopra, like another master that I work with, Joy Dispenza, Wayne Dyer. I mean, so many spiritual teachers, Eckhart Tolle, so many people that are talking about conscious awareness, about spirituality. And in the method that I use of neuroscience, I am using people's faith. So I'm going to introduce to you Mark Brashears, who is he was a client of mine, and we're going to talk about spiritual awakening. That to me is conscious awareness. So we're going to talk about his journey. And he's a very intellectual guy, very nice guy. I mean, such a great energy. I always tell him he has such a great energy, such a great man. It was a pleasure for me to work with him, and how his journey started, and how suffering led him to develop this spirituality or this conscious awareness. Mr. Mark Brashears. I don't know if I pronounce it right, Brashears.
Brashears. Thank you so much, William.
How are you? Tell us because you are a great businessman. You're pretty successful financially, but you've been through some suffering, kind of hypersensitive, taking things personally, and now that a lot of people are suffering, immigrants, now we are in the middle of a war. People are talking about the third war, war, and they're afraid. A lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are suffering. So tell us about a little bit about your life, your suffering, and how you've been able to overcome your difficulties to be aware or to develop this different level of consciousness, spiritual awakening.
Yeah, I think being aware of being aware is a big thing. To be aware of really what's going on and not be caught up in it, because I mean, I too get caught up in it all the time. Thoughts like always connecting with my thoughts. The other day when they dropped the bombs on Iran, I had these
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, and 95% of them weren't true, but I had these thoughts. The thing with the immigrants, I thought it wouldn't affect me, but it's affected my business. It's affected my employees. It's affected California.
Mm-hmm.
There's a fear. How much of that is real? Again, a lot of it's thoughts. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we get carried away with that, and a lot of these thoughts aren't true. So if we say, is it true? Like, is it true that we're entering a war, or is it true that they're going to take immigrants that have been here so long and send them home? I don't know, but it certainly creates a fear,
Mm-hmm.
and that fear is what causes myself to want to be more awakened, because I know it's not true sometimes, the idea that we get carried away with, and I think just going into our hearts instead of our minds, being centered, um, in that helps a lot. And that's, I don't want to say I'm always seeking, but I'm always looking for more peace, more happiness, more joy. That's where I'm at.
What do you think about the law of one? About that we are all connected with the same source, that we are all one. It's only a big mind universe. We're all connected, no matter what culture you are. And we are also responsible for whatever is happening in the world, for the kids that I'm supporting now in Haiti that are dying of hunger. You know what these social workers say me? Kids eating dirt. Imagine that. And who is doing something about it? And I developed this fundraise for the kids that are dying of hunger in Haiti. What are we doing? If there is a big conscious awareness, collective consciousness. So, aren't we responsible for whatever is happening in the world, or at the level of collective? What do you think about that? The law of one, that we are all one, and everything is a projection of our own mind. So, what I don't like about you is what I don't like about me. So, whoever I'm criticizing is a part of me. So, like, if you don't like your arm because your arm is not as pretty as the right hand, but you don't like the left hand, would you cut your hand? But what if that hand is part of you? So at the moment that you're criticizing, that you're condemning someone, that you're criticizing someone, you put him in the dark, and the dark will call you, which is fear. And in the Course of Miracles that we are studying, the Course of Miracles say that love is the only thing that is real. The fear is the illusion, is the Maya. How they call it in Hindu is the Maya. It's an illusion. So we are living in a virtual game. This is not real. So the game for us to be awake is to understand that everything that is not fear based, then it doesn't exist. But what do you think about this law of one and the responsibility that we have as a human beings to do something about it? We either choose to be part of love, which is the light, or we're part of the fear, which is the darkness.
Well, I think it comes back to vibration, that love is the higher vibration, and dropping bombs on people or trying to get something out of spending all kinds of money on destruction versus
Mhm.
feeding people.
Right.
There's a big difference between the two, and trying to get people to vibrate at a higher level. Um, I mean, this is a little off key, but Marianne Williamson is a big studier of the Course in Miracles, and she
Mhm.
actually ran for president. And she's very conscious. I've read some of her books. I haven't read the Course, but nobody wants her to be president, except for
Mhm.
maybe me or a few select people. Most people would rather be in their comfortable place and letting other people run the show, um, rather than really being more conscious. That's been something to raise that awareness of consciousness is is something. It's kind of like feeding people, feeding them with the truth. um,
Mhm.
yeah.
Look at the news. Look at the news. Are they feeding fear? Isn't that part of the game to bring down the immune system with fear so that we have this collective panic attack? So now everybody's taking pills and taking the antidepressant, and now they're afraid, oh, it's the end of the world. And news is doing a pretty good job with that, you know. And the same thing that we did during the pandemic, right? How many people died not only of the virus but of the fear? So when you're afraid of something, your immune system comes down, and then you're going to die of any type of flu. Are they doing the same thing? So what is our job as a individual human beings? What do we need to do individually in order to change the conscious awareness, in order to be part of the awakening, the collective awakening? What do we need to do? What do we need to do?
I mean, I can only speak from my experience. um, to not be watching the TV. um, I find myself also scrolling through videos um, that that create the fear. um, I don't know exactly, but I do know that, um, for instance, when the Twin Towers was bombed, I mean, how many times did I watch those planes go through those buildings?
Mhm.
Over and over and over. And then in the COVID, people were extremely fearful, and I think addiction rose quite a bit. I think people start using more substances, and not being aware or not wanting to be aware. And it surprises me how people are so complacent with with where we're at in the world. It almost scares me a little bit.
Isn't that part of our ego? The ego is the like the child that is controlling our mind. So the ego separates us, fear separates us from the divinity, from the true love. So if we're not connected with that level of conscious, I don't know if you read the book of Proofs of Heaven by Evan Alexander, that talk about a neurosurgeon that talk about how he found heaven when he got into this coma, and then he didn't believe in life after death. But one thing that came to my mind is that there's a lot of research on near death experiences, and all these people, nobody found hell, for example. No, none of them found help, but there's something common also. They all talk about a review. We're going to have a review, but the review is not to punish you. The review is for you to understand, okay, what is the things that you did spiritually? Did you make this world a little bit better than how it was? Do you make a difference in somebody else's life? Or do you think they're going to ask you about, oh, how many titles you have, how intellectual you are, how many cars you have, or the that or how many subscribers you have? That had nothing to do with anything at the spiritual level. So we have this incarnation in order for us to do something about it. And a lot of people are not fulfilling that dharma. They just they just full they they continue having this karmatic debt, which is accumulated by not doing what you're supposed to do, because there's an opportunity. If you have the power of will to choose, if you can choose light, or if you can choose love by helping others, by doing something about it, and you're not doing it, so that means that you're not doing anything with this reincarnation. What do you think about the life review? Do you believe in reincarnation, or you're or you don't believe in reincarnation?
Hey, I find it an interesting topic, and you've helped me to open the door into those ideas, and I really find find it extremely intriguing, especially this part about heaven. I have a few friends that have described end of life experiences, and one was Saturday. I was in a group of people sharing, which again, I think learning about people and consciousness and behavior, and just learning and trying to be more, and listening to places like this. And this gentleman said he got hit in the street, and he had this experience, which is, die before you die and know there is no death. And he died, and he described this experience as being so beautiful. He said the hard part was coming back. And then I
Mhm.
asked him, I said, then you must be there already, because my other friends who've had this experience, they're not afraid of dying because they've already experienced it. My
Right.
aunt also had this experience, so it is fairly common, and it is recorded. And I am familiar with this doctor that had these clients that made him a believer that again there was this experience. And again, I'm like you. I don't believe there is a hell. So yeah, karma. Maybe what you're describing is true. It's not my experience, but certainly I'm open to learn more about it.
Okay, if we have many lives and it's proven scientifically about reincarnation, with the starting with Brian Weiss, the psychiatrist that started this therapy of past life regression therapy, which I learned to do it also. In life is a school, and let's say that we did pretty bad in another life. We were pretty abusive, pretty egocentric, narcissistic, psychopaths, and we hurt a lot of people. We created a karmatic debt. So in this life, through suffering, we're gonna pay back. We need to balance that karmatic debt. So it's either two things: we either accumulate karmatic debt, or we make deposits to the universe, which is spirituality. So I tell people, and I want to see what is that you can tell me your input about this. There's only two ways to pay karma. You either pay it with suffering to balance your karma of all the hate or all the suffering that you cause towards others, or there is another way to pay the karmatic debt, and is with service, through service, by helping others. But how many people really care about the homeless people, or the drug addicts, or the people that have nothing, that are dying of hunger? And we have such a big number of homeless in United States. It's like, why is that? Why is that happening? Why nobody is doing anything about it? But you understand about the karmatic debt, and about spiritually, which had to do with service. uh, because when you are a service for others, you are paying a debt. You're making deposits. And when you make deposits, you're not going to have a karmatic debt anymore. What do you think about that?
I mean, you've opened my eyes to service, but I think there's such a reward to doing service. You feel so you're not expecting anything in return.
Right.
You're giving unconditionally, and doing that, first loving yourself unconditionally, and then giving to others. As my father was passing, I remember asking him when he was in hospice, "How can I serve you?" And and that was like, it wasn't words, it was my feelings, and I know he liked to hear that, because just being there was being of service.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the type of service, buying food for somebody that's hungry, giving something to people, not making the comment that the people on the street are there because they want to be there. A lot of people use
They
that as an
choose.
excuse. Yeah, they choose to be there. A lot of these people are not mentally well. They're not all on drugs. They're not all. A lot of them are bipolar. A lot of them need medication. A lot of them are without homes, without family. They have no options. Some people just lose everything and they're in their car, and things keep going down. Um, I know some people that were helping the homeless, and they said if they don't find a place within a year, their chances of being housed are very slim. In other words, these people need some help to get back up on their feet. I don't know, but I think a lot of people are turning their backs on a lot of what's going on, as far as homeless in the United States, but I see it in Mexico, and I haven't seen it in as many other countries I've been to, but it's a sad thing for sure.
The the title of this interview is Spiritual Awakening. So, what is spirituality to you? What is spirituality means to you in regards to religion? Because it's two different things to me, but I wanna see how you perceive it.
Well, a lot of people can say, spirituality is religion, William,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people look at, there's different types of spirituality, of course. I found myself as more of a seeker, like seeking something different, because I could see that religion had so many holes in it and so
Mm-hmm.
many issues, because I was raised in the Christian faith.
Mm-hmm.
And even as my parents were passing away, I saw this idea that somehow they might not make it. And, you had to do this and this and jump through these hoops. Um, Spirituality, I see as a more clear light for myself. I find joy in being aware and meditation. Um, Being in the present moment, I think, is the most important thing I can do. Not being in the past. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of different things, but I also see that seeking, like, well, this one works for me for now, or this one works. And I think when we think a system works, like chanting certain things, or having these ideas, and you're doing it right, you're not doing it right, that's confusing for me. And I think it's no different than religion. I see a lot of it is for profit. People are selling things. Um,
Right.
and I enjoy just the journey. But I guess it goes back to the question of who am I? You know,
Okay.
who am I? And
Who are you?
even in the Bible, you know, they talk about I am that I am.
Exactly.
And don't ask me to quote the Bible because I'm no expert.
Mhm.
But you know, I like some of the silence. I like this level of peace. I like indigenous people. These are just personal experiences I've had. Um, I don't think you get enlightened by doing certain drugs. You know, some people think
Right.
there's drugs in South America, um, just different things like that. But some of the stuff seems to work for indigenous people as well. I'm not so judgmental about it, um, but I find it intriguing that people seem to think I have the answer. This is the ultimate system. This is the
Right.
final one, or I found this, or I found that. And um,
Mhm.
I just don't know. I don't think it's like that.
I heard this definition of spirituality and religion. These guys say that the religion is for people that are afraid of hell, and spirituality for people that being in hell and wants to be out of it. And that kind of makes sense because I'm not afraid of hell because I don't believe in hell. I think hell is here. If there is such a thing as hell, suffering is here. So when our body dies, because I don't believe in death the same way as people believe it, I think you just changing your clothes because the spirit you can kill your spirit. So the spirit is energy and the energy transforms. So we go into a different level of consciousness. So uh spirituality is much more open than religion. Religion is because every religion they think they have the truth, the absolute truth. If you talk to a Mormon, they're gonna say, "Oh no, this is the truth." And if you talk to a Christian, that's the truth. Catholics, the same thing. So, but it's dogmas, is whatever the Bible say, but the interpretation of that Bible is based on the pastor, on the father of the leader of the religion. Spirituality is much more open because with spirituality, I can study Buddhist, Hindu, even Quran, and get something out of every part of it. But to me, spirituality is like service also, like Mother Teresa of Calcutta. She was religious, but when the Pope called her to go to Rome, she said, "You know what? I'm too busy to be doing that. By the time I go to Rome, I'm going to spend so many hours. And to do what? To do interviews? I rather spend my time with the children. And because I want them to give me a laugh before their die. Such a beautiful things. She wanted to be a service, and to me, if you're not a service, if you don't care about others, you don't have enough love to give because you're selfish. It's all about you. It's being narcissistic. Oh, I don't have anything for anybody else, and I don't care about anybody else because they're not even from my own culture, or they're not even my brothers and sisters. They're not part of my family. Yeah, but aren't we all connected? Aren't we all brothers and sisters? So, in order for the humanity to be awake, don't we have to be more loving towards each other instead of criticizing? And I don't like to criticize even leaders of whatever because they're doing their service. They're serving the darkness, but there are service also. And we live in this duality, right? Good and bad, evil and good, and ego and spirit. So some people are choosing to serve the darkness, and some others are choosing to serve the light. So, but in order to be a service for others or to be loving towards others, we need to love ourselves. But I don't think we have enough love to give to others. We don't even have enough love to give to ourselves because a lot of people don't like themselves and they end up killing themselves with drugs, self destructive behaviors.
Yeah, I think unconditional love of self is the most important thing. I know my experiences with alcohol was when I did drink, I didn't have that. And that's a low vibration.
Mhm.
Coming out of that, you start to see the light, and you start to help people, and you start to see the good in everything. Um, this idea about, my God or your God. What if it was just one God and it was all the same? Or what if you were God? I mean, these are just different ideas, but they could be spiritual as well, that God is within you and
Yeah.
consciousness lives on, which is something you seem to be pointing towards. That sure, the body dies. We know the body gets old, but I experienced both of my parents. Their spirits seem to pass. I've only seen 3 people pass, more or less, and each one, they were there and then they weren't. So there's a definite passing. Now the body finishes, it's finite, but what if the spirit is infinite? I mean, that's a
It
pretty
is
cool
infinite.
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not people believe in that differently. I don't know.
Right.
But that's extremely interesting, the concept.
Yeah. Why don't we prepare for our own death if it's inevitable? The same way as we prepare when the baby is born, right?
Yeah.
When the baby is born, we do baby showers and we prepare, and he's all happy, even though it's painful for the mother. But why don't we prepare, like in some cultures in Africa, they celebrate their lives? They do a party, or you coming back home, so let's be happy. Why we have to be sad and cry and, oh, I don't want to let you go because I'm gonna miss you? Why is that? Why don't we see that as coming back home? Hey, you did your job, as well as you thought you did, and with the level of consciousness that you have. But I'm happy that you're going back home, and I'll see you there because you'll be waiting for me on the other side. Why don't we prepare if it's something inevitable? But we don't think that we're going to die, or maybe we think that we're never going to die. We should be prepared, right? Don't you think so?
Well, I think that that's exactly right. I think um, that we need more of an awareness of that. But I think it's the same as teaching children to be conscious and loving as well. A lot of people don't, and then people grow up not really knowing what to do. Um, I mean, life is a journey, and so whether you're 40 years or 20 years or however old you are, I think it's never too late to embrace love and consciousness, and to be more kind, be kind to yourself, and then be kind to others. I mean, that's a big step right there. And awareness, to be aware of being who you are, and changing the world. First you change yourself, then you can change the world. That's a pretty good concept. I like that.
uh you say one thing that is in the Bible, or the true name of God, and it wasn't. I don't want to say about the verses, but it was when Moses was had the call to rescue the Israelian, and then he asked to this burning bush, "Hey, who are you? I mean, you're sending me to rescue these people, but I don't even know who you are." And that's when we heard this voice that say, "I am that I am." So, which means we are part of the divine. We're part of the creator. So we are creating our own reality. So, but if we are God, why our behavior is like evil? Why we don't have good behaviors? Why we are not loving towards others? Why there is so much hate in the world if we are gods? So that means that we're evil also, or that God is evil and good at the same time, or that the darkness is part of the light. You see, it's profound, but it's good to talk about it.
Yeah, William, I sometimes, as my mom was getting ready to pass, she kept saying, things have never been this bad. And she wasn't talking about herself, she was talking about in the world.
Hmm.
And I would say, no, I don't think things have ever been this good, you know?
Right.
So it can be perception.
Right.
And I think it's a vibration. If you're having a bad day, if you wake up in the morning, and I think Joe Dispenza, one of your favorite people, and I like him, it's this positive outlook and this idea of vibrating at a higher frequency. Because I remember um, growing up with my story of suffering, the story of suffering, and then carrying that backpack with me
Right.
forever and ever. And what's your story? And this is my story. And what's yours? Oh, we both have these heavy stories, and things are so bad. And in
Yeah.
reality, when you start looking, things have never been so good. Meaning, um, I know a lot of people don't have any money and they're just happier than heck. And I know people with a lot of money and they're not. So money certainly doesn't define it. Although it's said that if you have a certain amount of income, you're more likely to be happy.
Hmm.
But, more houses, more cars, as you pointed out, more money. Someone said the other day, I don't want to be the richest person in the graveyard. How true is that statement? You know?
Right.
You better start giving now. What does that look like? I don't
R-
know.
Right.
It could be making sandwiches for homeless people. It could be helping with addiction. It could be volunteering your time. It could be helping with the church. I think just eye contact, being friendly. And it seems like wherever you go, I mean, people say, "Oh, the people in this country are like that." People said like the people in France, they don't like Americans. My gosh, I went there. Every one of them was nice to me. I didn't have a bad experience. That's just not true.
Mhm.
Oh, Mexico's like this. Not true. I bet Colombia is just a beautiful country. I've not been there yet.
It is. Where you need to go is beautiful,
So,
and a lot of
so
people
those
are
are
moving there.
ideas, William. Those are
Yeah.
ideas that we create. That things are not are so bad. What can we do to make them better? That's what we're talking about here. How can spirituality make that better? How can we make a change? How can we make a change?
Yeah. Now, Nikola Tesla is the one that say that if you want to understand the universe or God or the Creator, you have to understand it in terms of frequency, vibration, and energy. Words are frequency, emotions have frequency and vibration and energy. Thoughts have frequency, vibration, and energy. So it's a matter of vibrating and have a higher frequency, which is love. And actually, that was measured by David Hopkins, a mathematical way to measure the emotions. Love and peace have a higher emotion. But right now, when we are in the middle of a war, or with the warning of the end of the war, the vibration of the war is down. So it's our responsibility to bring this vibration up in order to contribute to the well-being of others. But if you stay with the fear, oh my God, what's going to happen? Then you're you're putting your attention in the negative, and when you put your attention or your awareness in the negative, you create more negative
Yeah.
because you are a co-creator of your own existence. I don't know if you heard about this movie about the in Spanish is Nuestro Hogar or Home by Chico Javier. But in this, Andrew, this medical doctor, had this. He passed away, so he came to this channel, which it was Chico Javier, and told this story, and out of that they made two movies. But what this what it was so surprised to me is that he had a chance to go into some type of computer to look how many things he did for others, how many people he touched. And he thought, oh, I was a doctor, I help a lot of people. No, it was only one person that prayed for him when he passed away, one person that he served because she didn't have any money to pay for the medical session, for the the medicine, only one person out of all your life. So that's why I'm saying spirituality is the most important thing that you need to do. While you're asleep, while you're not aware that you probably have more than so many people, that at the end of your life, your money is not going to count. Your money actually is going to be left for other people that are going to fight for it. But then, that's why Wayne Dyer, at the end of his life, because he kind of felt that he was going to die, he went and did a conference in San Francisco, and he went and took most of the cash out of his bank, and he was giving to the homeless $100 bills, and he was crying doing it. Because that's the spirituality, when you don't feel like you need anything else. That doesn't mean that money is bad, but it's like, uh, what is going to happen in that review. Now, let me ask you this question: what is the purpose of your life? Now that we're talking about spirituality, what is your purpose of life?
I mean, I think that's a really deep question. It's not something that's so easy to answer. Um, I think when you describe it as you do, like giving or helping people, I mean, what I do in our business, I mean, we provide help for people that they appreciate, and helping people after afterwards as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think just speaking consciously to people um, provides help. Um, Interacting in a group, educating people like you're doing. Um, I think there's a lot of purpose. Having that focus as I look forward to retiring um, is interesting because there's a shift.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne Dyer wrote a book called The Shift. I don't know if you're familiar
Yeah.
with that one. It's one of many. Um, and it's a good book, and they made a movie out of it as well. Um, yeah, your question about proposito, purpose, it's an interesting concept because most people don't really know, and they get ready to pass, and
And they
they
still don't know.
they still don't know. Um, yeah.
Have you heard about the terminology dharma? There is karma and there is dharma. Dharma is your purpose in life, and that's the most important thing that you need to fulfill, the purpose of life. So if you die in this life, which we're all going to die, but if you haven't been able to find your purpose and fulfill your purpose, you're not living your dharma, which means you're going to have to come back to the samsara wheel, which is karma. So you're going to have to reincarnate and come back to continue finding the purpose of your life, which is, to me, is getting to the master level, graduation, like Krishna, like Buddha, like Jesus. That level of consciousness where everything is love, where there is no separation, when we all love each other. And then I saw in this visualization, in this meditation, people from so many countries, with so many languages. Like, I'm gonna go to the World Convention of AA in Canada, in Vancouver. And what I like the most about that convention is, like, I'm gonna be able to hug people from many cultures with only one language, which is love. I don't need to understand what they're saying, but I guarantee if I give them a hug, they're gonna be okay. So I'm gonna give a lot of hugs, because to me, we need. And then I was hearing YouTube now about this Spanish medium, and she was saying that she's gonna do for free this meditation, and she's got a lot of subscribers in her channel. I want to do that also. Maybe I don't have the amount of subscribers that my ego wants to, but but I want to do this meditation for the world, because I believe in it. I saw this video of this guy, in a Hindu guy, that he was going to meditate for this lady that she was attached to these cables and to this computer to read her biology, to see if she can improve her health, not only at the mental level, but at the physical level. And the guy was in a video chanting and praying for her. And while with just her name, and while he was doing it, they saw all the chemistry of her biology and mental health improving, and he was on the other side of the world. That's where I find out we're all connected with the same source. That's quantum entanglement. That's quantum physics. We are all connected. And because I do believe that what is God, he divided it millions, millions or particles, and we are all part of those particles. But as we have cells that are toxic cells, that are cancerous cells, we have good cells also. So the cancerous cells are the people that are asleep, the people that are serving the darkness, but that is still part of us. So it's not about judging others, it's about bringing your love and your light to the darkness. So it's not about criticizing, it's about being more loving. If you have a chance to talk to little Mark Brasher as the child, what would you tell him?
Wow, that's deep. I think we discussed this before. That unconditional love of that little boy, um, and then bringing that into the world, whatever that could be. Um, I think I would tell him that things are always working out, that things are getting better. That um, I think giving people hugs,
Mm-hmm.
calling someone. Yesterday, actually, it was Saturday in that group, and they suggested to call someone, and I called a friend, and it was a college roommate, and we bonded again, and we're gonna go take a trip together, and it's gonna be in Vancouver, by the way. And so,
Oh, okay.
so
You're gonna be in Vancouver?
not the same trip,
Oh, okay,
but
okay.
I might be there at the same time. But the point is, um, those are powerful things. Is reaching out and exposing yourself, giving service, being the light. Because I think I have to reach the suffering and the darkness in order to appreciate. In other words, there has to be contrast. And if we're focused on World War III, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a hard time getting out of bed tomorrow. And
No.
and this thing with immigration, I mean, what can I do um, to 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 make a difference? I need to know what I can do, and we know what we can do um, to help the homeless. It's not something that we can't solve, because again, I've just been to other places that seem to be doing a much better job than we do. I mean, the amount of bombs that we had the amount of money we spent on a parade the other day, the amount of
Right.
money that we spent on those bombs just to prove that we got bombs that can blow up, a couple football fields under the ground and do a bunch of damage. The amount of money that we're giving to other countries to just slaughter people and genocide them. I mean, and we think that's okay. I'm having a hard time with that. Um,
Well, I heard this channel that it just blew out my mind because we were channeling Jesus. She had this power to get into the frequency of Jesus. So I had an interview with Jesus, basically. And then Jesus asked me, William, uh, would you be able to love Adolf Hitler? And I say, why would you ask something like that if he was a killer? He was a sociopath and a psychopath. And he's like, I know this is going to be difficult for you to understand, but I want to tell you that I am Hitler and I also Jesus. And then I understood that darkness or worse are part of the mystery of love, the mystery of the creator. So we needed a Hitler, so we create one. We needed a Trump, so we created one. We needed a Putin, and we created one. We needed a Satan and a Lucifer, and we created one, the collective consciousness. So that's part of the awakening. And that's when you choose, who am I going to be part of it? Am I going to choose the war, or am I going to choose peace? Am I going to choose fear, or am I going to choose love? And that's part of the spiritual awakening. We all need to be awake. We all need to wake up. So if you're not awake, you are asleep. And a lot of people are asleep, but because they have different levels of consciousness. A spiritual consciousness, a spiritual awakening is translated as a conscious awareness. So, but if you're not conscious, how can you love others if you don't even love yourself? If you're selfish, if you're narcissistic, how can you think about helping the homeless or the people that are dying in Africa or in Haiti if you don't care about them, if you're not conscious, if you don't think that they're your brothers and sisters? It's impossible. So I don't think we're going to be blamed for that. And I don't think the universe, which doesn't have time and space, because only in this third dimension we have time and space, uh, the universe doesn't care how many times we had to come back over here in order for all of us to be awake. All of us need to be awake. And then there are masters, there are divine souls that are coming down to help us with this spiritual awakening. What do you think about that?
Well, I think your your idea is really good, because I think that being awake is certainly better than being asleep. I mean, um, again, expanding consciousness, in expanding love and kindness, and expanding light. Um, I think there's a lot to it. Um, I mean, that's what I'm experiencing. I can only describe that. I also think that there's a lot of phoniness, or no real people that claim things, but they're doing things that maybe are not 100%. But
Mhm.
it's not for me to decide that. And and certainly, following a political side, or a religious side, or certain things, it life is good. I mean, life is fun. I think the more you love, the higher your frequency, as you said. And giving to people, serving people, kindness. I mean, those are just things that we can all practice every day. And
Acts of kindness, right?
of kindness, yeah.
What did you learn from suffering, from your own suffering, from every experience that caused you suffering? What did you learn from it?
Well, for me, I think the suffering was the awakening.
Okay.
That's what caused me um, to realize um, that things are always working out. Without knowing suffering, you wouldn't know well-being. And it also makes you appreciate, and I know you do this, is you help people who are suffering. You helped me, and I cried when you helped me, because I thought, you didn't even know me, and here you were reaching out to me, um, with kindness, and I could feel the love and the sincerity. It was like, it's unbelievable. And so if you help one person, if you smile at one person today, if you're present for one person, somebody who's lonely, who doesn't see people, if you call on someone today, like I called on my friend, um, that's all powerful
Yeah.
in making a difference. And we all can make a difference. Yeah.
You know what the beauty about it is that when is your time, when is your time, and to move on to the next level, the spiritual level after the physical death. The people that are going to waiting for you on the other side. It's not only the family, but it's the people that you touch to give you a hug and to say, you know what? Thank you, Mark, because you gave me the hug. Thank you for because you gave me a piece of bread. Thank you because of the words of kindness that you use. And I believe that's important at the spiritual level. It's not about surviving. Here in the United States, we're so lucky to because there's a lot of food over here and we can survive. But so we should be grateful. But in some other countries, they don't have anything to eat. They just don't have anything. And but no matter where you are, uh, it's not about surviving. Life is not about surviving. Anybody can survive. That's easy. But it's about to make a difference in this world, to leave this world a little bit better. That's what spirituality is about. It. That's what's going to count. And if you have a lot of money and you just keep it to yourself and you don't help others, then they're going to ask you, what did you do with all the money that we gave you? Oh, you know what? I bought like 3 houses and 4 Mercedes. And is that going to count? Because if you have that talent to make money, it's for a reason. When you start waking up, it's like, okay, who can I serve? How can I serve to my brothers and sisters that don't have anything? And that's where I am. That's where I am. And sometimes my ego is telling me, oh my God, but I feel impotent because people are not understanding this journey, why they're not doing it. But it's okay. I mean, I am at my level, and I need to understand that if they don't have awareness, if people are not even aware of their own suffering, or they're not aware of the suffering of others, there's not much I can do because they are at that level of consciousness, right? So when we if your quality of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts, what are the thoughts that you need to entertain? Thoughts that have high frequency, right?
Mm.
So in order to be the right frequency or high frequency most of the time, we need to be aware of who is thinking. Who is thinking most of the time? Or
Well,
evil.
most of the time we're up in our heads. Again, when we think from our hearts, we when we bring it down, and then most of these thoughts in our head, they're never going to happen anyway.
They're not even real.
They're not even real. So again, meditation, breathing, being around kind people, being kind yourself, loving, um, and giving, and just being kind. So it's been a good session for me.
Even when we pray, we're selfish because we pray for us and we don't pray for others. See, even our ego gets in the way when we're praying because we only think about us. But I mean, it's good to have these conversations about spiritual awakening because we are all in that process. And one thing that I learned is that if you may, Muhammad Gandhi used to say, if you want to see the change in the world, you have to change yourself first to
Yes.
change that worldview. And so if we're able to change and understand that the only thing that is real is love, and if every thought that we have and every behavior that we have is loving, then we get out of that simulation of that matrix. Then that's when we wake up to the reality that we are God, that we're connected with it, with that beautiful source, that God is unconditional love. But he had to put us through this density in order for us to understand that, hey, this is not even real what you're going through. You are asleep. And then one day we're going to open our eyes and we're going to say, oh, so it was only a dream. So the only thing that is real is love. So I always been in God's mind. I think I am in my head, but I am in God's mind. So if we understand that, so we get out of our own ego consciousness and then we reconnect with the higher level of consciousness, which is unconditional love. And that's when we are able to be awake. And then when you're awake, then you're helping others because we're all connected with the same source. And that's kind of how I understand spirituality. Thank you, Mr. Mark. What can you tell the people that are suffering through addictions, that are afraid that they're going to be, deported, that are, watching the news and having these panic attacks or nightmares? What can you tell them about spirituality or about love or about higher level of consciousness?
Well, I just think that, again, most of it is probably not real. And it's like you said, I think it's all a dream. But in the moment that you're being deported or they're bombing us or something, or then things could be different. Um, I don't know what to say about that, William. I didn't put too much thought into it, but I always say things are working out because I
Yeah.
always believe that. And then what's the next bad thing that's going to happen? Boom! I'm watching, and they're bombing a
Mhm.
country. Well, that's pretty bad. And then a couple of days later, it's like we're living in our beautiful country. We're still walking on the beach, our freeways. We don't even have any fear, right? And yet we're
Right.
bombing the heck out of these other countries and all the craziness going over there. It's like in their backyard, people are hungry in their countries in Haiti and stuff.
Right.
And we just throw a blind eye to it. Like it's always been that way there. And those are our neighbors and we don't do anything.
Right.
So again, making a difference. I like that you're always trying to make a difference. And that's for me because I need to make a difference too. And I appreciate your uh, bringing awareness to this channel and getting out of your box and doing some English because well, you got another chance for a different audience, and as people become more conscious, they'll tune in because um, this is where it's at.
Thank you, Mark. You are the first one. So you're gonna give me this luck to get
Yeah,
into the American, people. I grew up in United States.
yeah.
I love United States. I think I would be dead by now if it wasn't for this beautiful country. And I believe that we are brothers and sisters. Uh, if you are above the sky and you're washing down, you don't gonna see any borders.
And
You
make sure
see?
you carry your passport with you. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, I have both
That's
both.
just a joke, but it's it's I'm glad you're here and we can bring things back to where we come from. I love going to different places and meeting people because the way you started it and you said we are all one, it's so true. I mean, eh, can't speak the language, hugging people, whatever. It's universal and
It's universal.
it's happening. So thank you, William.
It is happening. I believe that the world that we see outside is a projection of what we have inside.
Yeah,
So if you believe that there is a terrible place out there, is because you don't have inner peace.
right.
Once you have inner peace, then you're going to change your worldview. And if you continue believing, because words are powerful, in love, and if you're part of the light, and if you have enough love for you, then you can share a little bit of your love with others. And we now, the reason why I decided to do it in English, even though I was going to overcome my own fears, is because to prove to me and to prove to others that there is only one language, and it's love. And that language is the one that is going to take us to the spiritual awakening. And we all need to be awake, because we are all brothers and sisters. Thank you, brother. Nice talking to you. I'll see you in another time. You're welcome to this channel. And I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to continue my journey, because this is my dharma. This is my purpose of life, to bring light towards the darkness.
I like your clarity, William. You're right on. Thank you so much too.
Thank you, buddy. Blessings.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.